Call the meeting to order. Roll call. Here.
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 Here. Here. Here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Any citizens that wish to address the board, unless it's on committee to hold, then of course will be recognized there. Yeah, please.
Thank you, President Byrne. Julie Simpson, 307 on Wensia Road.
Yeah, how are you, Julie?
I'm doing well.
Good.
While I'm addressing all of you, I came to talk to Trustee Schultz today and thank him for his service. You know, it's not just service to the community now. He's kind of made a life of service by serving in the military going forward. And I'm going to read a proclamation offering gratitude to James Schultz for his service to the village of Vernon Hills. Whereas James Schultz was first elected as trustee on May 3rd, 2005, and has been elected by his constituents to serve 3 additional 4-year terms. Whereas through his time as a village trustee, James Schultz has been part of many significant achievements, including indoor workspace clean air ordinance, the development and implementation of senior staff compensation process, facilitating the appointment of Klein Thorpe Jenkins as village council, the acquisition of the YMCA facility, which continues to be a valuable asset for the community, and improved intergovernmental relationships with Hawthorn School District 73 and the Vernon Hills Park District. And whereas he has supported numerous development initiatives in the village, which include the shops of Greg's Landing and Melody Farms, the redevelopment of Hawthorn Hills Square, Marketplace, and the Hawthorn Mall, and renovations of multiple facilities. And whereas James Schultz has also devoted his focus to continued strength and solvency of the police pension fund and continued fiscal responsibility and health of the village and the future of the village of Vernon Hills. And whereas James Schultz has taken great pride in community involvement, which includes Secretary for the Vernon Hills Traffic Advisory Committee, Citizens Representative for the Town Center TIF Community, Secretary of the Falcons Hockey Organization, and a proud member of AMVETS, the American Legion, and the St. Mary of Vernon Parish. And whereas James Schultz lives in Vernon Hills with his wife Karen, and the proud parents to Jonathan and Jennifer, and proud grandparents to Madison, Julietta, and Emmett. Now therefore be it proclaimed, Lake County Board Member Julie Simpson offers her sincere appreciation to James Schultz for his service and dedication to the village of Vernon Hills. Be it further proclaimed, the County Board of Lake County, Illinois offers its best wishes to James Schultz in his future endeavors. Dated at Waukegan, Illinois, on April 20th, 2021.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. And now we have Mr. Dorhoff.
Mr. President, how are you
How
doing, sir?
Okay.
More importantly, how'd they do tonight?
Cold it out.
Oh,
Yep, moved next Monday.
okay.
David Dorhofer, President of the Vernon Hills Park District, with Carol Sente, also with the Park Board. Likewise, Trustee Schultz, we wanted to come up and say thank you. Truly, speaking on behalf of the Park Board, the Park District itself, the residents of the community, couldn't have done a lot of things without you. And it is greatly appreciated. Your generosity, your commitment to this community has been fantastic. And the Park District is going to be planting a tree with a plaque in your honor commemorating all the service you've done. And we plan to put it right here at Lashin Park once we get done with the tennis courts and everything. So I've got a list. We'll meet you offline. We've got a list of 5 different trees. You get to pick what kind of tree you want to look at, and it's all up to you. So, Carol, would you like to?
Just a few words. Trustee Schultz, so this will maybe the last time I get to call you that, but you and the board in its entirety have done so much for this community. It's been about 20 years since I've been here, so almost about the same amount of time you've been on. And we really do appreciate the relationship that we have with the village, and your commitment is just exemplary, and I very much appreciate our personal friendship as well. So all the best to you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tree near one of the dog walking paths?
Yes. You get to pick the spot.
Thank you so much. I appreciate
Well,
that.
and the nice thing is you didn't have to die to get the tree.
Yes, yes,
know.
thank you. Yes, that is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, it's always, it's like, it's, the street's named after me and I'm still here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but, and Todd, we know you, but you could state your name.
Trustees?
Yeah,
Pardon me?
you could state your name.
Very good. Todd Renahan, I don't want to be remiss, but we've had, I did tell you in your last, we had a proclamation read, and I said that we salute you, so we salute you. Thank you very much for your service. But our Legion we had last year, we were fortunate enough that despite everything, we had a very impromptu, very quiet, down low memorial ceremony at the two cemeteries and the Arbor Theater. We'd like to just let you know we'd like to do that again, if at all possible. We kept our guys, so we had a rifle salute and the flags as appropriate. And then also the 4th of July, two of us marched in that parade, and so we'd like to do that again. Hopefully all is good with that. And that's all I've got. But thank you very much, Trustee Schultz.
Yeah, Todd, I would think we don't have any issues with that either.
Now, oh, there he is. I keep looking over there. Yeah, and if you'd stick around just for a few minutes, I mean, you have a seat, but Mark is going to lead us in a discussion in a little bit about the future events. And at that point in time, it's kind of relevant what Todd was talking about, and maybe we can include Todd once again in that. So, but
Okay. Proclamation because this is Telecommunication Week. Emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. When an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. The safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Vernon Hills Police Fire Communications Center. Public safety telecommunications are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. Public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. Public safety telecommunicators for the Village of Vernon Hills, Lincolnshire, Libertyville, and Countryside Fire Protection Districts have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And each telecommunicator exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of Village of Vernon Hills declare the week of April 11th through the 17th to be National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Vernon Hills in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our villages and citizens safe. Signed this 20th day of April, 2021 by me. So thank you to our telecommunicators. Needless to say, they do a great job, and it's sometimes it's, I would think, pretty stressful. So anyway, next is Village Manager Fleischauer.
Just a reminder that later tonight, President Byrne will be signing Declaration 21-08. That's just a continuation of the state of the emergency in Vernon Hills, which originally was issued last March, and will remain in effect until such time as the governor declares the state of emergency in the state of Illinois to be over.
Okay. Chief Crease?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to advise the board and the community that Village of Vernon Hills is looking for applicants to be considered to join our police department. So I would encourage all of you to make outreach to friends and family. Fortunately, we were able to find a very COVID-friendly manner of testing applicants. So applicants for the role of police officer can actually do this without coming in a large group. They can test at a remote testing site through a computer or even from the comfort of their own home. This is, you know, I'm probably a little biased, but it's a great job. It's a great career. I hope more people would consider it. Basic requirements are 60 hours of college credit, but preference points is given of those with a bachelor's degree, military, or prior law enforcement. But I would encourage all to pass this on to family members. It truly is a very rewarding and exciting time to be in law enforcement. So thank you. The testing is available through May 17th, and then we'll be doing interviews in June and hiring after that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Let's see. Next is the omnibus vote agenda. Is there a motion to approve items A through V?
So made.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Forster?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Unfinished additional business, summer event schedule.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you recall, about maybe 6 weeks or so ago, staff addressed the board and talked about the events of the summer and which ones we felt we were going to be able to safely conduct or conduct within the guidelines established by the governor's office and the Department of Economic Development. Our drop-dead date actually is tomorrow for a number of our vendors, and they put it off until after we had the board meeting tonight. If you followed anything in the media over the last several weeks, you've seen, you know, there was hope when the vaccine first came out that people were going to be vaccinated and the number of infections were going to go down, which it did trend down, which caused the governor to talk about a bridge between Phase 4 and Phase 5. Shortly after that, the infections started to rise, and they have been rising ever since, along with hospitalization and deaths. And as it stands right now, with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine on pause, it appears that the actual vaccinations for the residents of the state of Illinois have slowed down or will slow down considerably. Right now, they have said, as of this morning, 25% of all the adults in the state of Illinois have been vaccinated. But that's going to be a far cry from the 70% required to have herd immunity and move to Phase 5 as far as the governor has outlined before. Phase 4.5, or the bridge phase, has been put on hold, and they said before we are able to move to that, it's going to require 28 days of continuous decrease in hospitalizations. We are not seeing that yet. I think that they have stabilized a little bit, but we're not seeing that. So our recommendation is pretty much along the same lines as we said a number of weeks ago. Some of our communities around here, such as Arlington Heights, Wheeling, Schaumburg, Wheaton, to name a few, have canceled all their summer events. Libertyville has announced that they're going to postpone theirs, and they're going to try and hold it later on in the summer towards the end of August. In speaking with Mundelein, they're leaning that same way. It's just becoming very difficult to have a safe community event like that with such a large number of people. So what we are proposing is kind of along the lines that we mentioned before. We are going to continue the Arbor Theater Summer Concert Series. Those are lightly attended. People are able to space out on the grass, and there shouldn't be a risk of infection there. We are recommending no 4th of July parade. It's just too difficult to control the vast volumes of people that show up. Everyone who's been there knows that people are shoulder to shoulder. They're from curb to the back of the sidewalk. There's no way to control social distancing or even enforce a mask policy if we wish to do so. So for the safety, of all concerned, we're recommending, along with our partners from the fire department and the park district, recommending not doing the 4th of July parade again yet this year. We are, however, recommending that we proceed with the fireworks on the 4th of July night without entertainment. Our thought is that the fireworks can be launched from the island, as they always are, with the size of Century Park. People can gather and space out on all three sides of the island, all 4 sides of the island, and can watch from a long distance away. Spacing should not be a problem. The reason we're canceling the entertainment is because if we had a stage set up as we normally do with entertainment, 90% of the people would gravitate to the stage to listen to the music and the entertainment right before the fireworks start. And again, that places a problem on us. That brings us to summer celebration. And this is the one that we have been weighing very, very carefully and watching as best we can. In all good conscience, we cannot recommend that summer celebration go on as planned. For all the reasons we've mentioned before, the one factor that wasn't factored in is that we're required to get a liquor license from the state of Illinois to sell alcohol. And the state on their website that was updated 2 weeks ago are saying that special events are not going to be permitted. Outdoor events would be reviewed on a case-by-case basis as long as they are being conducted in accordance with the governor's and the Department of Economic Development guidelines, which is, the social distancing, masks, everything. And special events will not be improved unless the event holder can monitor, control, and restrict the number of persons in a designated area. And by that, they mean that they would expect us to take the temperatures of people coming in, potentially, ensuring that there's social distancing to take place, that people are wearing masks. And with an event like Summer Celebration, you know how it is, how hard it is going to be to try to control access to Century Park. So what we are recommending is kind of along the lines that we mentioned before, is pushing off the event until late August, which is what a lot of the communities around here are doing, and partnering with the Park District for Rib Fest, making Rib Fest a little bit bigger, a little bit better. They sell tickets to Rib Fest, so you can control access a little bit easier. We would make a contribution to the entertainment for that night, and we could take the fireworks display that we are going to do on the night of Summer Celebration and do that for Rib Fest. And hopefully, keep your fingers crossed that the situation corrects itself and we're allowed to do that. In the event that that can't go forward, we would be recommending that the fireworks be used for New Year's Eve, such as we have in the past. That would be kind of a nice way to ring in the new year and hopefully a better year yet.
Okay. Trustee Cook?
Thoughts on the fireworks on Rib Fest. One of the comments I heard many times from people when I was talking about potential fireworks was why not save that second one for New Year's Eve like we used to do? Because we already have one in the summer, and so it's just a thought that even if we don't do it with the Rib Fest one, we could always do it New Year's Eve, because that met with a lot of people missed that because we used to do it. So.
Yeah, obviously, that's, as I mentioned, that would be our second choice if that's what you wanted to do. This is totally at the board's discretion. This is our recommendation, and you're certainly welcome to override us.
I attended one New Year's Eve a long time ago because my children who have children of their own were children at the time. And it was really sparsely attended. I mean, yeah, some people came, but basically everybody stayed in their car and they just parked up along Lakeview and really didn't get the full.
Well, you don't get out of your car.
Too cold.
Yeah, if it, well.
But I mean, to watch it, I think people enjoyed it. I mean,
Yeah, but I guess what I'm saying is that a month where the weather is more hospitable towards, is a better option, if in fact we don't have that option. And I guess I'd like to invite the president of the Park District, who just happens to be in attendance tonight, to make any comments he may see germane. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah, I'm finding that. This is something we've talked about between Mr. Fleischauer and Jeff Fougeroux of the Park District. Our board has reviewed it, and we are fully supportive of the project. The way we do RibFest is we actually fence it all in so that there is a central input and output that can be done strategically so that we can control who comes in, the numbers that come in. And with the technology today, you can put up a heat monitor that you can take the temperature in the one entrance. So everything we're talking about is very possible, and we support it.
Are you talking like one of those face monitors, like at Lifetime they have it? You just put your face there, puts it up. Oh,
In the air.
Generic camera, they
Oh.
got at the high school.
really?
Generic camera shoots an area.
Oh,
Picks up that,
It just, as you walk through, it's a video camera, and it'll put your temperature, it'll read the temperature off your forehead.
Oh.
And put it on the screen above. If it's below, it'll come up green.
Yeah.
If you're over 101.1, then it comes up red, and you get put off to the side.
okay, great. I concur with Trustee Schultz. I think, New Year's Eve, it's just too darn cold here.
I mean, that's basically the last resort.
Right.
Because we're going to have to spend the money this
Correct.
year or we lose our deposit. So,
Yeah.
yeah. If,
agree.
If we can't make it happen on the
RibFest.
the end of August.
Yeah.
And that seems to be kind of also the demarcation point. I'm hearing Labor Day and beyond, people are a little more comfortable in going forward with
Right.
outdoor festivals. Prior to Labor Day, not so much, and especially when you get into July,
Right.
not so much at all, so. Do you need some level of direction?
Just a nod of the head would be fine.
Yes.
well, to do the.
No, just so I was not saying that I was suggesting moving, I was saying that was one of our other alternatives, and that
Absolutely.
I have heard
And
from
we
the
would
community.
shoot for RibFest.
Yeah,
If we can get off an event like that, I think that would be a great way to end the summer.
Yeah, and I'm really glad
but
to
if
see
we
we're doing
can't-
that with the Park District.
Right. If we can't, then the alternative would be New Year's Eve.
So can I ask, what kind of financial commitment would we be making to the Park District? And what are their out clauses in case things don't get better? And would we get our money back or would we lose money?
I think the total contribution that we had budgeted was $12,500 to boost up entertainment and the fencing in the area. And I think they would have to answer about the out clauses, but I think all the bands that they engage in are local bands who understand the situation. Whereas on Summer Celebration, we book national bands. And if we cancel here, they could have gone somewhere else.
Right.
That's where we get stuck.
Staying with a blues theme, right?
Could we have him answer once again what,
just leave it out there.
Sorry?
Staying with a blues theme, right?
That is the intention, yes.
Yeah, goes
So-
with ribs.
so I don't know if you heard my question. What are your contracts for RibFest? Would you lose money if it didn't occur because of COVID or?
We go out to May. So once we get to May, then we'll have to make our commitments.
Okay. So we really can't make a commitment until then.
The
Correct.
contribution.
The contribution aspect, we wouldn't be asked. And then after May, do you have clauses in the contracts that if COVID continues, that you would lose?
We've got out clauses if necessary, but the bigger bands are going to, as Mr. Fleischauer just said, the bigger bands have the ability to go somewhere else, so they're going to be pretty locked down in what they want in advance.
Okay. So we might be on the hook for some money, but still, it's only 12,000. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else, Mark?
That's it, thank you.
Well, before you finish, though, let me go back to Todd here and talk a little bit more about what the American Legion is proposing to do for Memorial Day. We are looking at having a small ceremony at Vernon Township at 9 a.m., another small ceremony at 10 a.m., and a final small ceremony at 11 a.m. at the Arbor Theater.
Yeah.
The 10 a.m. one typically is the largest of the day, and Willow Lawn sponsors it. They sponsor refreshments, and they invite stakeholders, loved ones of people that are interred there, all members of their community to come. They are not going to do that. They're not going to set up the 50 to 80 chairs that they normally do. They're not doing any of those things that they've done in 2019 and in years past. They are advising their community that there will be a small ceremony, and you can take it from there with regard to the ceremony.
The ceremonies, all three of them really are just in and out, 5 minutes at the most, and we're gone. More to pay tribute to those that have fallen. That's what it is. We've had, I don't remember if we had a high schooler play the bugle last year for taps. My guess is we did not,
No, it was,
and I wouldn't.
someone had it on a boom box or.
Right, that's right. That's right, yeah. Yeah, we did the boom box. That's an iPod for those of you that aren't old enough. But
Goes under the age of 70. I think.
when we do it at Vernon Township, that's a quick one. That's off of Milwaukee Avenue in Lincolnshire there. And the Willow Lawn, as Trustee Schultz has said, that's the bigger event. But we did not have a speaker last year. We're not going to have a speaker this year. Nothing's going to be different than that. It's kind of been in and out and paying our respects. And then at Arbor Theater, same thing. Laying a wreath, giving a salute, getting out of there. 9, 10, and 11 o'clock is when we do it.
Okay, yeah.
On Friday and Saturday, we are looking to flag the graves of veterans buried at both those, Vernon Township on Friday and the Willow Lawn on Saturday. We are looking for volunteers. Our First Deputy Post Commander John Taylor is looking at scout troops, but they're far and few between. He was going to make contact with you, Chief Crease, about potentially enlisting the explorers. I believe 2 years ago, we had a couple of your young individuals from the Explorer Post. So that's always, and anybody else who wants to come out, I believe it's 9 a.m. at Vernon Township on Friday and 10 a.m. at Willow Lawn on Saturday.
Saturday, that's correct. Take about an hour. Get a map. You're socially distanced anyway, so that helps, and it's outside.
And you're outdoors.
But we'll be able to find you. Don't think you can hide. So that's what we have there. Okay. Good deal. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, Todd. All right, anything else to come under new business or,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
yeah? Is that a yes, sir, or no, sir?
That's a yes, sir.
That's a David, sir.
Oh, okay, Dave. You got something?
Yes, sir. I wanted to go over the Butterfield Road Bike Path Letter of Intent in concurrence with LDOT. The village board has always made a priority, not just our roadways, but also our non-motorized modes of transportation, our sidewalks and our bike paths. One thing that's especially notable is that on the committee of the whole, we have the developers of the Hawthorn Mall that will be working with us to extend the sidewalk across the frontage of the mall. What that means is, once that's complete and we have a crossing of the E.J.N.E. Railroad, you will be able to ride your bike all the way from Libertyville to Lincolnshire, so we are very close. This Butterfield Road bike path is another key component. It will tie in the Greg's Landing area to the new Century Town area. Specifically, it's from the E.J.N.E. Railroad up to Greg's Parkway. We've met with with LDOT, and LDOT originally had asked us for a $150,000 contribution. The village board previously approved that. After going through the details, they've basically said they will build it. We would maintain it anyway. If there's a sidewalk system put on a state or county roadway, the municipality maintains it. We've worked through some key details before. There was going to be retaining walls and railings. Those will not be there. There's two different options. One option was having it meander through an outlot of Greg's Landing underneath the power lines. We've looked at it and we've counted how many trees would be impacted by that plan versus just having 5 feet back of curb, 8-foot path, and having just a linear path. About the same amount of trees would be impacted. The county would prefer not having to deal with the landscaping, the design, meeting with homeowners and working through all of those details. We do that very good here at the village, so we would prefer to use that $150,000 instead of sharing it with them. We will work through the landscaping. All that the county is asking us to do is to sign this letter of intent that they would commit to build the project and oversee it. They hope to complete it still this fall, and we hope to landscape it still this fall, but it depends on if their construction goes well. If it doesn't, we will do it in the spring. We would add it to our tree planting program, but we would have the $150,000 towards that. So staff's recommendation is to approve and concur with this. So we're seeking the village board's authorization to have the village president execute the attached letter of intent and concurrence.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Do we need a motion on this?
I recommend a motion to authorize the village president to execute the letter as described.
Motion so made.
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay, roll call.
Trustee Forster?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Barford?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the board?
Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, I really should have said more, but thank you to each and every one of you on the board and staff. Thank you to those that have already left. Thank you, Julie Simpson. Thank you, Park District, Dave Dorhofer, Carol Senti. Thank you for a wonderful run of 16 years. I'm going to miss the work, but I'm not going to miss having to arrange my schedule around visiting with y'all twice a month and all the other times that we get together. So with that being said, thank you. I guess I'll be here one more time just so I can say the magic words, Sindai or Sindai. I looked it up and it. No, I think it's supposed to be stretched out more, but anyway, I'll get it right.
Latin sounds better than Sendai.
So thank you for that opportunity. Thank you to the voters of Vernon Hills for electing me 4 times. Thank you to the 26 people that put me over the top the first time. And the rest of the time, there's a whole bunch of you, and I thank you all. So that kind of ends that. And the other final comment I want to make, I've used this, what I call a bully pulpit. It's not much of one. It's very close to the ground and doesn't have a whole lot of sway. But I keep reminding us, and hopefully maybe somebody in the future will remind us, let's stop killing each other with guns, with ARs and other weapons of mass destruction. I've had the privilege of firing such weapons. They're there for one purpose and one purpose only, to kill something and to kill human beings, because you really don't even want to use them if you're an avid hunter. They do too much destructive damage. I see it every day in the news, or not every day, every week. It seems like 4 here, 10 there, 8 there. Let's try and do something as a community, as a nation, as people under God, to stop killing each other. And that, I guess, is my last bully pulpit statement. So with that, God bless you all. Thank you. And
Until the next meeting.
until I get to say,
Sine die.
see, I told you, it was a lot
How
more.
were you saying it, Jim?
Sine die.
Oh, my God. All right.
I will write it out phonetically, too. So.
That's the absolute Greek, huh?
Latin.
Latin. Well, okay.
That's right. I remembered that.
Actually, I'd like to say something. You know, Jim, I've been here 4 years, and I've got another. You know, I've been honored to be able to serve another 4 years. But I don't think people can appreciate, you know, the time and effort. I mean, yes, we come here and we you know, twice a month for these meetings. But Jim brings such a knowledge base, and you know, he's so thorough in understanding the issues. He's going to be missed dearly, because it's hard to replace someone that really cares. And I just want to say I've learned a lot from you, believe me. I know we agree to disagree on some issues, but, you know, I truly respect everything you've done without any question. So just want to say that.
Okay, here. Okay. Well, we need a motion to adjourn the board meeting and go to committee of the whole.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Oppenheim,
Aye.
trustee Takaoka,
Aye.
trustee Schultz,
Aye.
trustee Markwart,
Aye.
trustee Forster,
Aye.
trustee Cook,
Aye.
President Byrne.
Aye. Okay, the board meeting is adjourned. I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting to order. First item of business is approval of the committee of the whole meeting minutes of April 7th, 2021.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. Comments, questions, deletions, corrections? If not, roll call.
Trustee Cook,
Aye.
trustee Takaoka,
Aye.
trustee Schultz,
Aye.
trustee Forster,
Aye.
trustee Markwart,
Aye.
trustee Oppenheim,
Aye.
President Byrne.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. BHOP ESPORTS LLC, are they here tonight? Okay. And this is presentation of concept plan for a proposed eSports center in Hawthorn Mall, 122 Hawthorn Center. Where's Mike? Oh, there he is.
Thank you,
Mike-
Mr.
Mike
Mayor.
Atkinson, yeah.
Real quick, as you stated, this is concept presentation. This type of use requires a special use permit. So first step is here before the board to get your feedback. They would be located in Hawthorn Mall in the space formerly occupied by the skate room. That's in the J.C. Penney's wing. The space would be approximately 6,400 square feet. The use would involve the use of PC stations, Nintendo Switch stations, and various other gaming platforms to play against other competitors in the area, and I believe even around the world. Mr. Ho can get into the details for that for you. Again, this is just concept presentation. After hearing feedback from the board, and if the board thinks appropriate, then this matter should be directed to the Planning and Zoning Commission to open up a public hearing for approval for consideration of a special use permit. They would then come back to the village board for final consideration. And with that, I'll throw it over to Mr. Ho, who can give you his concept presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Joseph Ho, formerly 600 Avon Court, went to Vernon Hills High School. Hi, Coach. I think the last time we were here, we were just talking, we were being represented for getting third place at state in volleyball. So thanks for that experience. But what brings me back to Vernon Hills? So in this new age of online, and we had the privilege of learning what e-learning was all about this past year, as opposed to traditional learning. There's this new concept of esports that's been around for a while now, but not really too much in the spotlight. It was much for like the nerds and all the techno people, but now it's very much at the forefront ever since the pandemic. I know the esports industry jumped about 27% because everyone's trying to buy PlayStations and Xboxes for the home entertainment, and so definitely the industry has definitely grown to a point where people are looking for more. What is the next thing to do? So I'll kind of split my presentation up into just two main parts. I'll talk a little bit about myself and then the store on the open, and kind of try and connect the two together into one continuous flow. So after VHHS, I studied music education at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And I went on to teach up in Gurnee and Wheaton. So I'm a violin, piano, cello teacher or whatnot. So I had this really long history of just working with kids and youth, and just seeing them grow as students and musicians, and finding different ways of expressing themselves in different mediums. But after teaching a while, and it was during this time I got really good at this video game called Hearthstone. It's kind of like a Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering. It's an online card game. And I got really good, and I started competing at local tournaments, and all of a sudden I was going for international tournaments and placing. And I was discovered by the varsity esports team at Robert Morris University. And they were like, hey, do you want to come play Hearthstone for us? I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? They're like, we'll give you a scholarship for it. You can come and get a business degree or something like that. I'm like, yes, that sounds amazing. So I went back and got my business degree at Robert Morris for business administration. And I received a full scholarship, varsity scholarship, for playing a video game called Hearthstone. Hearthstone has about 100 million active players, and I was among the top 10 players in North America. So I had the privilege to represent Team USA at the World Championships in Amsterdam. And it was from going back to college to study, and all of a sudden being thrust into the limelight of international competition and signing autographs at airports, being stopped by for pictures and things like that. All this to say, I wanted to, so I've been saving up money, right, through all the years of teaching and wondering what to do with it. And I wanted to bring esports back to my hometown of Vernon Hills. And here are a few reasons why I think the youth of today in Vernon Hills would really benefit from it. So the pictures that you see right here, obviously are the signs. It looks really cool, gets people talking about it. It's really unique colors. It really pops. That's a picture of me on stage at a 300-person tournament. I ended up finishing top 10, and it was streamed in front of about 24,000 live viewers. So this is a huge deal. Now, the setup is pretty simple. There won't be any construction of any sort. It will just be moving kind of furniture in. It will just be a repurposing of the former skate room into just tables and chairs, computers, and of course the NCSA, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So bringing you together, obviously this is the next big thing for youth. People are trying to hop on this train of esports. They're starting their own clubs, their esports programs. As you can see, they're very excited about it. But what they have is just very rudimentary equipment at their schools. Teachers don't really know what esports is. But with my experience, I'm kind of bringing all of that knowledge back to Vernon Hills. And so local schools and park districts, I'm kind of disappointed he left early. We're going to talk to him. Supports esports and its inclusivity, right? Traditional sports exclude physically handicapped students, while esports include. So here's the kind of difference between esports and regular sports. Regular sports, you have to be in top physical form, and to be able to go get money and financial help for colleges, you have to either be an extremely good athlete or you have to have really good grades or something like that. Esports brings a different avenue for people that not only encourages them to play video games and do what they're passionate about, but gives them an avenue into college and also careers. Current esports businesses today kind of look like this. This is the Ignite Gaming Lounge that already exists in Chicago. They actually recently opened up a $2 million second location in Skokie, and they actually got a $153,000 grant from the village of Skokie to put this activation venue there. Walmart has also tried and jumped on this train. That's a location in Arizona. Up at the front where you normally get like your eyes checked out, the glasses, they kind of took all that out, put computers in there, and it's something that, you know, has been creating a lot of buzz and bringing people in, creating community, just somewhere for kids to hang out and have that social interaction. BHOP Esports is proudly partnered with the NCSA. Basically, they are a database of all the varsity programs in the US, collegiate varsity programs. They now have an esports division, and we will actually, BHOP Esports will actually have the director of esports on site, because they're based in Illinois, on site, to be able to have those conversations with students who may not have, you know, interest in going to college, you know, after high school, but to say like, hey, you're really passionate about video games, you can actually get a scholarship for that now, and you can go to school for that. So when they put their name down, coaches can discover them through the database. They can learn about all the different schools and all the different programs, what they offer, talk to coaches one-on-one, talk to the players, the captains, get a sense of what the camaraderie is and the programs, and be able to make a choice through this lovely program. So esports programs in the Illinois specifically are already taking off. At the bottom there is Robert Morris University. I was a very proud member of that community, but places like DePaul University, University of Chicago, UIUC, UIC, Roosevelt, and of course RMU for me, are jumping on this train and are actively searching for recruits to be the next top varsity program in the US. And that's a little bit more of a bio. I think those are in your packets. But yeah, I just want to open up to kind of questions like, why am I doing this? What is esports and what it's all about? And kind of your thoughts on how this space will impact Vernon Hills.
Okay, so
Yes.
I read an article about Robert Morris probably 3 years ago, and reading about this esports thing. So, you know, I have young kids. I mean, these kids play video games at home, right? A lot of times they're just in their room. Actually, this promotes having them be around other kids and actually socializing. That's number one. The fact that it's taken off this much is crazy. So my question to you is, do you have to bring in fiber into this? Because you can't just do it on a regular.
So fiber
Internet
is already hooked up.
Oh, you got, there's already fiber in
Yes,
in this
yeah,
space?
1 gigabyte upload and download speed.
okay.
So I already called AT&T and they had technicians come in and do that.
Do you charge a membership? Is there going to be a membership? Is that what's the structure of your business?
Yeah,
from
so
revenue?
I think starting out, I want to keep things as simple as possible. I don't want it to make it too complicated for kids to have to come in, have an email account, have, you know, a legal guardian for them to, you know, sign memberships or something like that. It'll just be, you know, hourly pay or day passes, something simple like that to encourage them to have a place to come and hang out and spend a longer periods of time at, especially a place like Hawthorn Mall, where they receive a lot of foot
What's
traffic.
the age that you have to not be accompanied? Is there a minimum age to be in there alone?
Yeah, so it'll be age 13 and up.
Okay.
And then after, I know the mall closes early now, so I think that works well with things like curfew. And the mall provides like security and things like that too. So I picked Hawthorne Mall because, you know, I used to hang out there while I was in high school. But I quickly found out there wasn't many places for like high schoolers and, you know, older kids to kind of hang out and just, you know, socialize and things like that. So.
2 points I'd like to make. Number one, I just read in the Chicago Tribune today, there was an article that talked about what are they, Gen X now? 16 to 26. And I'm assuming it would probably fall down to the 13-year-olds. They kind of consider themselves in there. Their number one activity is esports or gaming. 2 is social media. 3 was general browsing, and TV watching, which we all kind of considered was the norm, is number 5 on the list of things to do with your spare or leisure time. So yeah, you're right on with where the marketplace is at and coming to. So I think it's a great idea. Now, from going to concerts and going to ball games and everything else, the money is in the concessions, or not the concessions, but in the merchandising. And we love sales tax, and I haven't heard a single thing about you generating any sales tax here. So I would hope that you could strongly consider adding a merchandising area in your near-term plans to sell BHOP hats, BHOP T-shirts, whatever. I don't know what, a variety of mice or keyboards or whatever else. But
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely in the plans.
Yeah.
But I think for now, especially
sure, you
with
want to build your base.
Yeah, exactly. With Hawthorn Mall, I feel like with the inclusion of something so cutting edge, that's the only thing in this, surrounding suburbs. Liberty doesn't have it, Buffalo Grove, Mundelein, Vernon Hills has it. I think that itself will create a lot more foot traffic, not just for kids coming in, but their parents that are also coming in. And, it might not benefit me, but I think in the most immediate terms, it will benefit
Well, we want it to
Hawthorn Mall.
benefit you, so it benefits.
Sure.
The only other thing, and I don't really want you to go back to the floor plan, but I didn't see a bathroom.
Yes, so since it's been a long time since Hawthorn Mall has something open there, the floor plan is not updated, but the bathrooms are not a part of this immediate area. They're kind of like this way, but there is a men and women's bathroom.
In the space?
Inside the space.
Good,
Yes.
okay.
Is that really necessary? I mean, the bathrooms are kind of right around the corner, the public bathrooms.
Well,
from the-
Yes.
from the mall.
Well, I think there might be some zoning laws that might require me to have bathrooms in the store, but to answer your question, there are
If they're not
single-use.
selling food, is that a requirement?
They need to be in the space or within 200 feet of the space in accordance with the state plumbing code. So, and there are existing bathrooms there that were put in when the skate room was there. So, and you would
Yeah, 'cause
maintain
they
those.
needed a changing room kind of deal there
Yeah,
to a certain extent.
exactly, yeah.
That's great, so I'm on board.
Yeah, and in answer to what you were talking about, it will bring in people, I mean,
Yeah.
the parents and stuff like that, and they'll be off shopping while the kid is gaming and stuff like
And the
that.
food court
and-
may,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, exactly.
got to feed a hungry
There will-
teenager, so.
I think the ancillary benefits of this are,
Yeah.
could be significant.
Can I
My
ask-
only question
so-
was why count waffles, but anyway.
I was going to ask that.
Were you?
Yeah, Count Waffles,
Good.
where's
Yeah.
that from?
Interesting story. So when I was choosing usernames, I wanted to choose something that was really funny, that if I were to, make it to the pro scene one day, this was before all the craziness of varsity scholarships, I wanted to have the casters make sure that they have to say my name seriously when they're casting me. So when I did make it to the pro scene, they would have to, really seriously say, Count Waffles made this play. He might have done this, differently, but he did this or not. So I thought it was a really funny, funny name to go with. I was deciding between like Count Chocula and then Count Waffula, and then not Count Waffula, maybe Count Waffles. That sounds pretty good. So I went with that.
Mr. Waffles?
Mr.
That
Waffles.
would've
Yeah,
been
my
good.
friends call me Waffles.
No, and gaming
Copyright
count is better.
infringement. I think there's
What's
a-
that?
I think that might be a copyright infringement. I think there's a Mr. Waffle Pancake House or something.
Well, there's a Mr. Waffle on 2.5 Men. He wrote a jingle about Mr. Waffles. I'm going, it just, yeah, what a segue. Huh?
So, can I ask, so
Yes.
without having a space like this for you, where did you play? You played at home, I presume.
I did play at home. I also played at Ignite because they had better internet. and they had better computers in that case. Ignite was good because there were a lot of computers there, and me and my friends could go and like play together. The other scenario would be if we wanted to, get together and play games and hang out, we'd all have to, unplug our PC, unplug our monitor, lug everything to someone's house, set up on someone's mom's table, and just be a mess. They come back like, "What are you guys doing? I need my dining table." We're like, "Sorry, give us like, until the next morning or something." It would just be a really big hassle to just move all the equipment and move it all back. But having somewhere where it's all there, it's easy. Just go in, log in, the food court's right there. If you want food, you can go get food, come back. Just having that space where it's nice and convenient, accessible, where your friends can, come and hang out. So.
Okay. So I guess Ignite really is the motto. I was just wondering why do you really need that now that everyone's got a PS4, PS5, and an Xbox and everything else?
Well,
versus
Ignite
the
put a
olden days.
$2 million expansion in Skokie, so I
Right.
guess they're doing pretty well.
Right.
Yeah.
but
Well,
Dave,
and
your
one of the
ability-
trends is moving away from the isolation of playing it at home and making it more of a social event. And that's the trend right now in gaming, period.
Yeah, that face-to-face, as we learned this past year, that face-to-face is just so crucial. Just being able to go out to restaurants, go out and drink with your friends or something like that. We have all these things at home, but to make this, again, a really important social experience, not just for the older folk, but definitely for the youth, I think that's something that is needed in Vernon Hills, actually. Yeah.
Any thoughts on incorporating virtual reality games as well?
Yes, Beat Saber. I know that actually Dave & Buster's has something that I have to keep it under 1,000 square feet, but I'll have Beat Saber there, just a tiny little square you can hit some blocks. Yeah, it'll be pretty fun. Watching your friends do it, watching someone really good do it, like, "Oh my gosh, look at this guy, he's going crazy," out of your corner of your eye, you're just playing your games like, "Oh my gosh, he's going crazy." So, yeah, just like experiences like that. Yeah.
What are you going to do about additional space if this blows up? Because to me, this could get big quick.
You know what? As an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I keep my hopes pretty low. But a few malls actually have already reached out to me about having it at their mall. The one in Harlem, Irving Plaza, that mall's been doing pretty well. And the one a little bit south of Milwaukee, that one's doing pretty well too. So, if this thing blows up, I'm definitely looking to expansions. They've already, reached out to me, which was really surprising. I'm like, I'm not even done anything here yet. And,
Right. Well, we need
so,
to keep you in town, so we're going to maybe have to find space.
I'm proud to be from
Here.
Vernon Hills. I
Right.
think this is the right place
This
to be.
could go to the schools, like the middle schools, that you can, create clubs, set up a club, right?
Yeah, again,
Right.
Park District.
I mean,
a little
what's the maximum
disappointed.
amount of people you can have in here at one time? I mean, if I count the, not that
This is not up to layout size, but you can easily fit about 150.
Oh, you can get 150 kids in?
It's 6,400 square feet
Oh,
with
okay.
ceilings about this high. So, HVAC will be running all day. I think social distancing will be able to accommodate for that. So it's a pretty open space.
Is BHOP the brand? What's BHOP stand for?
So BHOP is a term, a video game term called bunny hopping. It's a technical term where players can actually beat the in-game walking speed by jumping at specific times inside the game. So they'll be able to move faster than the programmed walking speed, called bunny hopping.
Is it copyrighted?
It is not. I'm actually put it through the trademark process. It's the only one there is. Yep.
Write it down.
Because I
My
want that
neighbor's,
merchandise to sell.
my neighbor's brother's a pet.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay. Well, I mean, this is a
just kidding. It's conflict. of
concept presentation. I mean, I don't think anybody's got a problem with it, do they?
No,
Time for Jim's speech?
I guess, yeah.
No, actually, this is not going through technical review. All we need is a consensus that the petitioner should move on to the Planning and Zoning Commission for consideration of a special use permit.
so be it.
Don't need a motion, just a
Yeah,
consensus.
Yeah.
that's fine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Forward.
We'll move to the, next step.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
I was-
Thank you. Thank you.
I
for
was
the
just going to add
Your
that.
name is,
Joseph Ho.
oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and great to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Well,
Joseph Hole.
Seriously, one of
Hole and-
the last times Joe and I saw each other was when we were both having third place medals draped around our necks at Hoffman Estates High School. So
Yeah.
it was a great moment. So I thank you for that.
Thank you, yeah.
So I got a quick question.
Yes.
Pay to watch it? 'Cause I know with Fortnite, weren't they watching? Some of these really good Fortnite players were getting
Yes,
paid.
so streamers, content makers, people like subscribe to your channel and they pay like $5 for a monthly
Right.
subscription. So for me, I had about 200 average viewers while I was playing. So it's,
Right.
you know, it's a good revenue source, but I wanted to kind of have that more social aspect in person. Yeah.
Didn't someone get fiber in town? Because they did it for gaming purposes. So Dave, the reason why they got to go to a place like this is because of the speed. You got to have fiber
optic.
to be able to really compete, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it on your home.
Well, there are a number of ways to get at least a gig's worth of speed.
Yeah, you need the fiber.
And interesting point there. All the major games right now, like Fortnite, League of Legends, and things like that, they're all moving their servers to Chicago. So Chicago is going to be, and the Chicagoland area is going to be the next esports hub, because when your computer communicates with the server of the game, it's about 3 to 5 milliseconds in Chicago. Out on the coast, it's about 35. So that's the difference between staring at a fastball all the way and blinking halfway. You know, that's the difference. So the competitive edge of Chicago is going to be formidable. And of course, you know, there's a $30 million esports stadium that's going up in South Loop of Chicago, in Bronzeville area. So that's the
Yeah,
next
a
big
big
thing.
arena. Stay, yeah.
So I guess I can't sell my house in Boulder Junction because they're bringing fiber optic to every house
Really?
in our township, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a town of 900, township of 900.
break it, you gotta.
If you guys have any more questions, I don't want to take too much of your time, but Mike has my contact info. The website is bhopesports.com. You can go and check it out. So yeah, if you have any more questions.
Well, we'll see you again, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Take care.
Thank you.
Okay. What else we got there? Centennial Focus and Atlantic Residential request waiver of cultural partner fees for the mixed-use residential development. Who's here from, you know, the petitioners, the Focus, who's here from, you're both Focus?
I'm Vic Howe. I'm with Focus Development, and then with me
You
is,
can drop that so we can hear you, okay?
it's branding, so I just wanted to make sure I had the branding down. But now that everyone's seen it,
What does it
Did have a
say?
kiosk in the
it
mall.
says the domain, which is,
Yeah.
Okay.
the domain is the name of the residential property at Hawthorn Row.
Oh.
I'll say it without the mask on. But that is the name of the residential property for the development. So, product placement.
Where's
All
Tim
in
Anderson?
merchandise.
Is he not here tonight?
Tim Anderson couldn't make it tonight, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he can't.
Who came with you back there?
So with me is Vicky Lee with Focus.
Yeah, well, okay, that's what I thought, but hi, how you doing? Okay,
And Sam Whitebread with Centennial Real Estate as well.
where's he?
Right behind.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mr. Mayor, may I provide a quick summary just to kind of set this up for
Yeah,
the
sure.
board? I think as most board members are aware, the Village's Code of Ordinances requires that developers of residential developers pay a $500 per dwelling unit fee for cultural partners. The purpose of these fees is to encourage and support the exhibition of art and the programming of performing arts. Focus Atlantic, which are the partners building the residential part of the redevelopment of Hawthorn Mall, is requesting that they display public art and schedule performing arts within Hawthorn Row, and to do so on an annual basis. This request is consistent with similar approvals that the board has approved for other developments. So with that, I'll let Vic describe to you their plan for the display of art and the performing arts. And then after that, if the COW determines that this is appropriate, then staff should be directed to prepare an ordinance waiving the cultural partner fees in accordance with the conditions that are outlined in your packet. And with that, I'll let Vic.
Have we done this before, waive it?
Yeah, yes, we have.
We just did on, because they did
For the money spent on actual artwork and that, yes, we've done it before.
Who did you waive it for? We or you or?
Who do we waive it?
Everly, Melody Farm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the, all the art we see at Melody Farm and all that. That's what we had them put the money toward. We do have with this development, if the board recalls, there are certain areas that have been delineated just for murals on the building facades. Other areas on the site that are made to accommodate sculptures and other forms of art. So we've been working with them through this whole process over the last year or two, setting this up. So this is kind of the last step to that plan, and Vic will describe to you what they would propose in lieu of payment of the fees.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. So yeah, as a summary, Mike obviously explained it very well. We're very excited here with the next steps at Hawthorn Row as the next phase of the Hawthorn 2.0 development. We are nearly ready to start breaking ground on the new construction portion. I'm sure everyone maybe recognizes the Sears store is no longer standing. We had our groundbreaking event last month, and we're moving towards that starting date. So as we move forward, and we've submitted for permits and received a couple, we're now digging into some of the more of the design development, and as Mike alluded to, some of the spaces that we've left for the public art, as well as some of the open spaces we've left around the mall for Centennial and their team to program with these cultural events. There's plenty of open space there. So what you should have in front of you and what I'll go through here is outlining those areas and starting to define the scope and program for that. The goal, of course, is for this process and this production, these events, this artwork to be in lieu of the fee. We do feel that it brings some cultural significance, some entertainment, obviously, but also performing arts, different events, intellectual events, those types of things. Plenty of retail space in Hawthorn Row. If e-gaming found its way into some of the retail space, could be intellectual and cultural as well. So maybe I'll be talking to Joseph as well on that. But actually, the next step in here, so this is the packet that you should have in front of you. Mike, I know I had a presentation document, and I don't know if the PowerPoint is available. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. So as we see here, of course, in this image, and I'll flip to the next image quickly, is the Hawthorn Row development, which is the next phase. It's shown on screen here is the phase 1, and on the left side of the screen, it starts to get cut off as phase 2 of this mixed-use development, which in the ordinance in December was approved for 562 units. There's approximately 50,000 square feet of retail. And then this main street that we see here, coming off of Milwaukee, feeds into the mall plaza space, the large open space with the steps up to the AMC parking lot and the new mall entry. So this next slide, again, the image on the left is the same as the first. It starts to highlight those areas which we've defined as areas for potential cultural exhibitions, whether they be open-air events, fairs, musical performances, festivals, things of that nature. On the right side of the screen is an angle taken from the AMC parking lot looking onto the very large plaza in front of the new mall entry. And so what I'll do here is flip it to Sam to maybe speak on behalf of Centennial as to the programming for some of the cultural events, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the public art after that.
Thank you, Vic. Sam Whitebread with Centennial Real Estate. I'm the Vice President of Tenant Coordination and Construction. Thank you all for your time, review, and consideration tonight. Just in speaking a little bit about the Cultural Partners Program, we recognize our sense and our place in the community, and that's to be here and serve and to be integral in supporting that exactly. We look forward to providing events that are consistent with the intent of the Cultural Partners Program. We do very much appreciate the partnership we have and have forged with here with you all between ourselves and the village. We believe our community events and the seasonal gatherings will provide meaningful entertainment and as well as engagement for the residents and the families of Vernon Hills. We are building this for a reason, and it is to activate, and there is an expectation, within our company and within our executive leadership ranks that we will activate this area of new development, with some vigor and some real dedication. If we talk about things we might see or envision in the future, we would expect to support and host events such as school dances, outdoor fitness classes, healthcare fairs, farmers markets, summer concert series, family events, perhaps weekend character events or movies in the park. And I think it's important for us from Centennial as the master developer of the real estate to be here in front of you all, to further reiterate our commitment to exactly that. And I think with that, I'll let Vic continue on.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. And here are just a couple more inspirational images, obviously, of potential events and happenings in and around this new development. Speaking specifically to the public art and more permanent fixtures within the space, on the screen is a map that outlines the phase one portion of the development. And what we've done is highlighted those areas, again, that Mike alluded to as potential places for murals. And so at this point, we've identified 15 locations. Most of them are locations on walls for murals. One of them is for a sculpture. The intent for this scope is we're working with, plan on working with a consultant. We're in contact with a couple that typically source local artists, local to the Chicagoland area. Obviously a request there. If there's a Vernon Hills artist, we actually did have one muralist from Vernon Hills reach out to me just a couple days ago. So that process effectively is to work with our consultant who would manage, help us source those artists and help sort of define the locations that they're going to work, the medium in which they'll work, and then manage that process so that once the walls are done and complete, we can come in and paint them or assemble and post whatever artwork they've completed. This process, we do want to be collaborative within the community, engage the community. We think it's important, obviously, that the community is very much involved with this. So we've taken a few steps, in fact, at the start of this process, to reach out. One of those steps is to reach out to the Vernon Hills High School to see if there's any students that would be interested in really participating in painting a mural or working with an artist on sort of learning some things about murals and working in that effect. We've also discussed with a couple of our consultants the idea of a community program where maybe one day over a weekend, there's a group of community residents, it's open to the public, that could come out and put their fingerprints on the walls, which would be a pretty cool event. So we do anticipate that this process, over the course of the development, is ongoing, and we're working with the community to really make something beautiful in all of these locations. And on the screen is really, again, just a few examples of some, on the right side of the screen, public art. It's not necessarily indicative of what we would be pursuing here. I think we want this all to be sort of a cohesive but a very creative picture for the mall itself. So that process in defining what the style, what the feel of the artwork is going to be a very exciting one. So we're really excited to get into that. And on the left, of course, some examples of sculptural pieces. I do want to call out in the upper left-hand corner and the bottom left-hand corner of that image, some playgrounds. I believe it's Lucky Climbers is the company that does these. They're international, actually. They do have a few locations here locally at Old Orchard Mall and at the Lincoln Park Zoo. But effectively, they create these very unique and fun climbing apparatuses for children to play on. They're very safe. They actually do most of them with netting around them too. But we do see that as another potential sculptural piece, frankly. It'd be very unique to the space and obviously very interactive. So with that, I'll move to the request page. You should have in your hands some images of the locations around the building where we're eyeballing those areas for for the murals. But we can discuss that further if you have any questions. But generally speaking, the request is for us to do all of this, both the public art and the cultural exhibitions, in lieu of the fee, as was discussed.
What is the total dollar amount that we would be,
281,000.
That's correct. Based on, that's both phases, 562 units.
And that would be like a max type thing.
Correct.
I mean, just that little amphitheater that you're building is going to have a significant dollar value to it, I would think.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's a permanent band shell structure?
It is. We're actually, as recently as tomorrow, going through some final designs for that, but we have some pretty grand visions for that. But there is a terrace seating area, which could serve as somewhat of an auditorium, if you will, a stage. It's really, our focus is on activating the area, not only seasonally, but finding year-round ideas and opportunities to keep the area vibrant. We think it's absolutely achievable with the residency there in place, as well as the invitation to community.
You make it Frank Gehry-esque?
We
qualify as art then?
We have 3 architects on the project, 3 architectural firms, so there is a little bit of a competitive edge going on.
This is the band shell of sorts that's in the one picture we're looking at?
Lower right hand?
Yeah.
How
So-
large of a space do you anticipate for that?
At minimum, 20 by 25 is the dimensions that we're targeting, and those are the dimensions laid out by our events people who are appointed and tasked with activating this on a regular basis. As well, we're working with a consulting firm out of New York who specializes in special events, AV stage production, things of that nature, and we're receiving input from them as well.
So I got a quick question. So if we did collect the dollars, just hypothetically, what would we apply these dollars to? Cultural projects or?
Well, you could apply them anywhere in town.
Oh.
You wouldn't have to just,
Go
you wouldn't
towards-
apply them here per se.
Oh, so you could
Go
use
towards
the
summer
dollars
cel-
for anything.
Yeah.
Could go towards summer celebration bands and things like that.
Or Arbor Theater, yeah.
Arbor Theater, yeah.
It's not
So-
that we wouldn't have a use for it.
Right. Would you not do this if you didn't get the sort of pass on it, so to speak?
I mean, the general intent is for us to do something that's accretive to the community.
understand.
And these are the opportunities that we identified long before, we were having these discussions. I don't see a world in which we don't do anything with these walls. There's some obvious places where it just makes sense to do it. There are alternative paths that we could take in some locations to maybe do some windows instead of murals. We'd have to take it on a case by case to go around the project.
But this is still going through technical review, isn't it? All of this?
The project itself has been approved as you see it here on this.
What else is, wait a second. What else?
There's the buildings themselves, the facades, the site plan for the Sears part of the development has final approval by the board.
Yeah.
After this, you're gonna review their sign plan as well.
Right.
And there's several other approvals that'll come forward on other areas of the property. But for Sears, most of the approvals are in place. I'd like to add too, as far as the conditions that are outlined in your packet, it's staff's position that we would hold Hawthorn to their position that they would engage the community, reach out to the high schools and elementary schools, and allow them to be part of this process. And to make sure they do that, they would be required to submit to the village on an annual basis a schedule of their art and performing artist events, and that would be subject to review and approval by the village board, similar to your approval processes for special events. And this would be in perpetuity. There wouldn't be an end to this. So,
Have we, when we've done this in the past, have we ever done it where it was
Pay as you
really
go?
a pay-as-you-go, but sort of a pay-as-you-go, that in other words, as we,
They'll get credit toward.
yeah, they would get credit towards this, waiving this fee as stuff is brought online?
We have not done that in the past. It doesn't mean you can't consider it now.
Well, with the size of the dollar amount, I was just kind of trying to safeguard it a little bit.
thinking the same thing.
Because I mean, that would be a simple bookkeeping thing for you guys, wouldn't it? To be able to say, hey, well, we built this and that was so much, and we put art here, it was so much, and that, and then just apply it toward till we get to the 281,000.
Yeah, we can require that they do that. You know, when they come back to the board on an annual basis, you're reviewing their schedule. That'll give you an opportunity to make sure they're engaging the village in a way that meets the board's expectations. And then they can include with that an estimated cost to put on these events and to display certain art. And we can keep track of that until we reach the $280,000 number.
What was the amount that we waived for Melody Farms?
It's
There was 400
what's the
and
number
some?
of units? 260 times 500.
So 240 some thousand.
Yes,
give or
sir.
take. So it's in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
No.
And I mean, we don't need to do it, I mean, because it has, they have done it over there.
200,000 for 265 apartments.
Yeah.
No,
265.
That's what Melody Farm is.
I'm sorry.
That's
know,
what I'm saying.
This is a lot more.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So
you know.
280 versus 135 or whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I understand what you're doing and I appreciate your presentation. I mean, would you be doing this anyway? Without the waiving of the fees? So let's say we weren't going to waive the fees, what wouldn't you do here?
Well, I think in general, again, the spaces that we've identified for these murals are good locations for murals. I think we would just have to take into account sort of the cost of doing that there, but they're blank spaces, and I think over time we would probably fill them, if I'm being honest. There's probably a few locations we wouldn't.
Honest, because I mean, from a business perspective, I mean, I'm just looking at it, what would change if we didn't waive the fees?
Sure.
That's a fair question, isn't it?
Sure. I think
Because I didn't know, I thought maybe we were taking those dollars and applying it in this fashion, but you're saying we could use it for anything. It's a fee. It's like a building
Right.
permit
Well,
almost.
typically, we've used the dollars for summer celebration,
Okay.
Oktoberfest.
Done it historically collected.
4th of July, et
Right,
cetera.
for the community.
So, community events, I mean,
Right.
it has to be, I don't know if it has to be statutorily, but
Sure.
typically, we've used it for resident amenities.
I think Trustee Tekoka, just to answer your question, if we weren't granted this variance, I think we just have to take a look at the things that we want to provide and have to cut back a little bit on
Fair.
either the quality or the amount, but it is our intention to do everything we can to make this the best place as we can be. So if we did have this variance, then we would be able to do a lot more than we would otherwise.
Okay, so I guess I'd have to say, I'd like it to be a little more specific than that.
Well, at this moment in time, we haven't.
Oh, no,
truly-
I know,
Yeah.
right. But I
They
mean,
haven't developed an
Well,
alternate plan
Trustee
for
Greco,
what they're
would
now.
putting that safeguard in take care of your concerns on
well,
that?
it's that, maybe a commitment to utilizing local artists, I mean, in writing, not just verbally, okay? I'm not trusting you, but I mean, people can say a lot of things, right? When they're trying to
Absolutely.
pitch and sell something, which is a waiving of fees.
And we can absolutely put that in writing that we'll use local artists, engage Vernon Hills High School.
Right, I mean, just stuff like that. It's nice to say it, I agree, but if to actually do it is another.
Absolutely.
So Mike, can you put some of those caveats into?
Yeah, I'm noting them right now. They could be included as a condition in the ordinance if the board chooses to approve this.
Yes, the difference between this and Hawthorn, Melody, and other developments is this one really is designed to be gathering place, which sort of fulfills the requirement that the other types of apartment units couldn't fulfill for the community. So it's
So in that
kind
case,
of
I'll make a
inherent
motion.
in that.
Oh, sorry.
And they're
So
Make a motion to direct staff to prepare an ordinance waiving the cultural arts fees not to exceed amount of $281,000 based on the additional stuff we've talked about tonight.
With the additional, with conditions added to the ordinance that would require that they use local artists and that they engage schools and Vernon Hills community organizations on an annual basis as
And
part
approval.
of programming their
And
events.
approval of the outdoor events.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, they would have to come to the board on an annual basis with a schedule of their outdoor events for your review and approval. So you'll be able to determine, are we engaging the community enough? They'll need to provide an estimate on an annual basis for each of these
Well,
events.
this is a one-time deal, this.
Right.
So,
Well,
so we're not requiring an escrow or anything, but is it,
No, I would, well, I was,
how do you do a pay-as-you-go?
Well, it's a one-time fee waiver, but the part of the caveat is the ongoing approval of events.
Right. But what if they don't then? So what, we
Okay.
waive the fees, so
They're
what,
gonna probably end up doing, because that's the way they're gonna draw people in there.
right, I mean, it behooves them to do it anyway, so.
Yeah.
Because they want people to come.
Well, okay, Mike, this is for Mike Atkinson. Is the band shell already approved?
yes, sir.
Okay, regardless of the cultural fee, right?
Yes, sir, yeah.
I mean, you've committed to building that.
Yes.
Everybody looked at me the same way on that, you know?
Yes.
I was wondering if there's somebody behind me. No, seriously, I mean, Christ, it's like, okay,
So
you know,
it was already part of the agreement in a
Yeah.
sense, that this is why we were agreeing to build the whole place in the first place, was so
yeah,
that you would have.
I mean, it's not like we're not in this heavily
Right.
in participating, so.
Right.
Yeah, I'd like to know what you're not gonna do then, that this 281 is gonna cover. It's just gonna cover the murals, right?
Right.
I don't, does anybody want to answer that? Is it that tough a
I
question?
think to speak to the band shell, since that's the focal point. I would say if you add up the value of the band shell, what we're currently projecting in expense, the band shell, the playground structure itself, would probably hit or exceed the amount we're talking about tonight. But to answer your question, we do intend to move forward with it as part of the activation of this.
Yeah, I mean, it's already approved.
Right.
So it looks
Okay.
like you're trying to recoup some costs, kind of. I mean, that's what it appears like from a layman's perspective, right? It's like, okay, we've committed to all this already. Oh, by the way, we want to waive the fees, so I'm just saying why.
Yeah.
What doesn't get done, and I get with the cost of doing, all this additional stuff, but it just doesn't, it's, to me, it's like, okay, let's see if we can recoup $281,000, so
Well-
to speak.
To be honest, it was our intention to ask for this from the beginning, and it was a misstep that we didn't during the original.
Oh, lucky for us.
I know.
Oh, who's responsible for that?
There's one advantage to this, to the village, and there's only one. And it is that when they come back to the board on an annual basis, the board can weigh in on whether or not the events that they're scheduling engage the community in a way that satisfies the board. And we can do that on an annual basis. So if you want the schools involved, if you want various organizations involved, veterans, any other organization
But
that's.
just because they're coming back to us, what say do we really have? If we don't like it, we've already given them
Because
the
part of
money.
the ordinance says they have to come
The
back.
ordinance.
No, but they're coming, but they're just
We-
coming to say
We
this is
can
what
say
we're.
no to their
You could,
event,
you could say no, and they can't have the event.
because it's in the ordinance.
No, I'm still going back to giving them the 281,000,
Right.
Normally, a property owner comes to the board and they propose an event, and the board votes yes or no for the special event.
Right.
The intent here is to give the board more authority in dictating what these events will be. That's the pay. That's the one payoff for the village that we don't have right now. I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, but how many events have you actually not approved since you've been here? How many times has someone come to request a special event and you have not approved it?
Very rarely.
Never?
Well, and besides the bench show,
4 years,
it does offer a potential for an awful lot more of artwork, so
What?
that's not
That's why
approved
I'm
yet.
asking, what wouldn't happen if 281,000 wasn't given? Was this part of their budget initially and they didn't ask for it back when they were
That's
at?
what it sounds like.
That's what I'm
So-
saying.
so
This
again-
281 was not missed in your budget projections. Or maybe it was.
So what about Hawthorn Melody? Was that discussed before Melody Farms? I mean, was that not discussed before it was approved? or-
It wasn't done the way we're doing it right now, is to separate this and to put it in front of the board as a single item. It was
It wa-
part of an overall approval.
The original
packet, yeah.
approval package that,
This is separated
that
out.
in lieu of these fees, we will put in these murals on the walls, and we're going to have the
And the
center court area with
Yeah.
with movie nights and stuff like
And
that.
things like that. And COVID got in the way last year, but the first year when they were able to do it, there was 19 events that they
Right.
put in front of you, and the board approved it. This is far more formal than what was done with Melody Farm, what you're being considered tonight, with the presentation and with the way they're trying to program it and the kind of feedback they're trying to get from the board. So, and I think the standalone ordinance, at least staff's perspective, is the standalone ordinance with specific conditions that meet the expectations of the board is the way to go if the board chooses to allow this.
It's difficult only the fact, because I think Craig's right, it's something you're gonna plan to do with
Anyway.
it or without the 281. The reason being because you wanna draw the people in, so you're gonna have, the farmer's market, you're gonna have the bands. Definitely you're gonna be doing that. The art is a different thing, is it $281,000?
Well, if you were to say, you know what,
So-
if we were to have this waiver of fees, then we can do this because, instead it's just,
Well, here's an example. If we were to have a waiver of these fees, then we could have actually real artists come in, put on a live demonstration when the building is open and have a public gathering where people do actually watch it versus where some of the buildings on Melody Farm, if you recall, was merely painting some of the brick behind the scenes. So this could be incorporated into a larger event where you can actually have public gathering and create it into something. Otherwise, we would have to largely scale back on the type of art and perhaps just find something that we can print out and plaster onto the building, which we definitely do not want to do.
right, so maybe you need to, I would say, come back with something that lays that out, right? Because if I recall, we waived it for another entity, but they said then we can do
They built
this.
a park, or that
It's
was
like,
the thing.
instead of just waiving 281,000 and it's just sort of 281,000 just gets,
Well, that was the point of the pay-as-you-go type situation, so that we could see exactly what
well,
was
how
done.
are they gonna pay? What are
Well,
they gonna pay?
No, and
It's
it's
a
not really
one-time
pay-as-you-go,
fee,
but it
right?
was the other artwork that they've talked about here that is not approved, and the murals and that kind of stuff, none of that's been
What if we
approved,
collect
correct?
the fee and then we rebate, can you
That's correct.
rebate it as, okay, why don't we collect the fee and then that's pay as you go, then we'll rebate as you go.
Well, I guess my other question is for the Everly, when that was approved, what was given in exchange for that amount that was also waived?
I don't know, I don't remember.
Well, everything but 20 grand was waived, and the board directed that some amenities be included in the area of the
Correct.
detention pond along Milwaukee Avenue.
Right, it was specific stuff. I mean, it wasn't a huge number, but it was like, okay, then we're gonna do this. Feels like.
Yeah,
we're
I
getting
think it was about
something that
80,000 that was waived.
So, if you wanna pay as you go, I say you pay, and then when you rebate as you go. Right, because this is done after the fact, and, we can't just make a precedent of just waiving fees and not really being able to attach or monetize
How does
what
that
we're
work
getting.
best for you? Yeah, because I agree with what you're saying,
Some,
how,
The pay-as-you-go concept?
yeah, how does that work best for you guys in terms of the fees, and I mean, do we
rebate
know?
as you go.
Then,
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, the project's going to be constructed in 2 phases. The first phase it's at 309 units,
300 and some.
300 and some.
315?
300.
So maybe we just work with
15?
Maybe the board just considers that number for right now. And then we'll see how their programming goes before any other waivers are considered. And that's phase 2, which is the other 240 units, whatever the math is, over 300. So maybe the phasing and the pay-as-you-go is phase 1 first, programming, let's see how that goes, see if the board's satisfied with it. And only then would they can come back to.
So you're saying not collect anything at the outset and then just hold the whole dollar amount hostage, so to speak, until the second phase?
Correct, and only consider the 309 units that are part of Phase 1. So it'd be 309 times 500.
$157,500.
Thank you.
309 or 315?
And
It's
315.
It's 310, which we actually
okay.
just yesterday, it's now 311 units. We resubmitted for permit with 311. So that's the current number.
311.
So you're saying we ask for that money now and then we would rebate that, or what's your plan?
You could do, I mean, the board can choose to allow the arts and the programming and only waive the amount that trustee Schultz indicated for the 309 units. And then they move forward as the board was discussing. They put on their programs, they get approval from the board. And we keep track of their spending on the programs. And if all goes well, that's good for them if they were to come back to approach the board for waivers of Phase 2. If that's one way of handling it. The other way that I was hearing the board discuss was to collect money and put it into an escrow, and then it would be refunded back to them as they put on the cultural programming and the art displays and those kinds of things. Those are both would work from staff's perspective. It's
The
whatever the
difficult thing
board
about that
prefers.
is then you have to assign a dollar value for everything, and
Yeah, it gets- it
every
could be-
painting, you're going to have an appraiser come in and say,
It
how
could-
much is that worth?
Yeah, it could be a little
It's
cumbersome in all honesty.
But, yeah, I don't know.
Well, if you're just dealing with Phase 1, and 311 is 155,500.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
So,
And then annual approvals by the
so we're
board.
saying, well, we're perhaps even willing to waive that for now, just as we did for Melody Farm, and then we'll take it on faith for the second phase, assuming they do lots of community.
So change the
Events.
amount in tonight's motion to 155.5 and then review it.
Review the
Before
second
the
half
second
for the
vote.
second one based on
additional money.
on how well they do with the murals and the activities with the schools and things like that.
And
They would
bring
have
this
to-
back as
and bring
old
it-
business
Why do we?
as opposed to the omnibus.
Okay, why do we?
Yeah, we
this
will.
is-
And
this
then,
is-
and then they would have to come back for approval of Phase 2, and the board could choose to approve or deny the request for Phase 2, and I'm sure the basis of which would be on how well are they doing.
Okay, then I'll withdraw that part of my motion. And can I just withdraw just change the dollar amount in the,
Sure.
Yeah, from
Definitely. I have
281
a
to one.
question, though. Can I ask a question? As far as the murals go, is there a definitive mural package yet, or is that something that's going to be developed in the future? And when? If so, when?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not established yet. We have the locations again identified. So the extent of the package is really what's in your hands and what we've seen today. So we do plan to move forward and develop that with, like I said, the consultants here in the next several months. It is a long process to get the artists together and work on that artwork. So we were anticipating this summer to really make a real effort towards getting that consultant on board and getting the artists locked up.
But is there a commitment to paint a mural in every location you've identified in your plan?
Yeah, that's the intent. The locations we've identified that are here right now are the locations that we intend to include the murals for.
So we can include that in an ordinance?
Absolutely.
That you'll paint a mural in each of those locations?
Sure, yes.
That's a little more
Yes.
definitive, too, in terms of.
We still don't know what it's
artwork.
gonna cost.
We don't know what it's going to cost.
If it's gonna,
There's a commitment.
I mean, right?
No,
You
that's-
guys
that's
don't
right.
know, okay, we don't know.
It absolutely, it could be.
So why
it
should
could
we
be a
vote
range.
on this tonight?
Well, I think if you are willing to vote on the $155,000 approximately, I think over the years over the next few months as we do the artwork as well as over the years as we do the public events, we'd be willing to provide those receipts as we come back every year and confirm that. And if by Phase 2, when we come back to get the approval for the second phase, we haven't met that, then
Well, tonight, any vote tonight would be just to direct the staff to prepare the necessary ordinances to waive the 155.5. And in there could be the caveats that Mike has already listed, plus the caveats that Jim has listed, plus any additional caveats that staff would like to entertain with you during an interim period. And then that particular ordinance would come back as new business when it would be debated again by this board as to whether or not to actually go forward with it.
Yeah.
So that would kind of be the process. And hopefully by that time, when you come back, you'll have more definitive ideas on costs and programming that you believe are commensurate with a donation of $155,500.
Yes, we can do
That
that.
makes sense?
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're not, we're not waiving anything tonight.
Right, right.
Well, we
Can't
we
tonight.
can't tonight anyway. We have
No,
to
I
wait
know
on the
that, but I
next
mean, until we understand.
Yes, sir.
You know, what they're gonna spend the money on.
Well, and we see what how the verbiage comes out in the final ordinance.
You know, I'll just take this a step further for board's consideration and kind of building off what Attorney Ferrillo suggested is, let them finalize this plan, let them get estimates.
Yeah.
And let them put this in a spreadsheet, make it part of their presentation, and then the board can consider the number and they can consider whether or not it wants to be waived. So we could, really, they just need to bring this to, they really need to complete the project and get final numbers together for you. The one thing that they'll have to do is, as far as the annual programming of performing arts and such, that'll just have to be an estimated number that they would commit to spending every year for musicals or
Right.
for
Chief
a
Priest
chorus
can
or such.
provide some input, because typically, if you have an alcohol service for an event, you're going to be required to have an off-duty officer at X dollars per hour. So you'll be able to get those costs from the chief. I might, I guess, also, well, that'll do me for now.
Yeah, well, and once again, it's not like we aren't participating to the tune of what, $46 million, okay?
Right,
Right?
a little more.
Is that correct, or you guys don't know that? Is that top secret stuff?
Specific numbers myself.
Huh?
I agree, I'm not sure the exact number.
Well, you know,
we
so
hear you loud and clear.
is there $280,000 in that money that's gonna come back to you? You know? Come on, you know.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on, okay? If you want to put this motion on the table, fine, and everybody can vote yes or no.
I don't even think you have to, if the direction is to move, to get further details.
Yeah.
To bring back to you, I don't think you have to vote on any motion
Yeah.
tonight. You know, we can hold off, we'll bring this back to you at a future, Mike, is that what you're saying?
Future date, when they have final
date.
numbers,
Yeah.
everything for the board to consider.
And
Well, would that be with a drafted ordinance for us to look at or not?
I'm sorry.
We
I-
could
well,
attempt that as well.
Well,
think,
because
you
that would be the only thing with a vote tonight would be to draft an ordinance that we can look at, correct?
Yeah, so I think what Attorney Ferrillo is suggesting is we don't need a vote. Why don't we have the petitioner get together all this information that's been
Yeah,
requested by the
that'd be
board,
nice.
and then we can come back at a future cow meeting.
With a
and-
potential preliminary ordinance or something?
Yeah,
too?
well, if the board wants that, we can, yeah, we can do that. So you could review the conditions and such.
Okay.
Yeah, we could,
Yeah.
yeah, we could do that. Actually,
Well, then the motion should be, what, pulled?
No, I'll withdraw it.
Okay, you're gonna
Withdraw the
withdraw?
motion.
Yeah.
We have direction.
Yeah.
We'll work with the petitioner
Yeah.
and come back to you with another packet.
And one other point I'd like to make is that 281,000 is the amount, or 155,500 is the amount above and beyond what you're going to spend as a minimum. You're not going to abandon all 15 locations. I believe there was 15 points on your drawing. You're going to do some of them no matter what. So
Yes.
that's a sunk cost that you're going to bear. So what you need to do to get the 155 is above and beyond your minimum that you're going to contribute anyway.
That's right.
Understood.
Yeah, and again, going back to the 281,000, it's not like we don't have things that we could spend that on, okay? Like maintenance of certain, how about the Arbor Theater? I mean, could we use it there? That's kind of our little cultural center. What do we spend there a year on
We
maintenance?
just spent, how
you know,
Spent a lot on the fountain
Yeah,
or the
pond.
water.
yeah, you know, I mean, it's kind, you know, come on. I mean, we didn't put this, you know, I guess, fee in place, you know, because we couldn't use it somewhere, you know? Okay, we'll see you in whenever.
Keep in good contact with
Thank
Mike.
you.
Yeah. There's no closure tonight, we're done. No votes coming.
They're
They're not getting 281,000.
Tonight.
They're still
Oh, you're all
presenting.
here for the sign?
They're still here.
Oh, God. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we got more.
Mr. Mayor and Board, the next item is an updating of the complete sign package for Hawthorn Mall. This is, as part of the original development, the board approved a sign criteria plan for the tenant spaces in the mall. This is not that. These are the identification signs for the mall. As the board is aware, excuse me, when AMC movie theaters redevelopment occurred, there was a sign plan as part of that redevelopment. And there was a number of variations associated with that sign plan that were approved as part of 2013-014 and 2015-08. 2015-08 approved the pylon signs, the main primary signs. They were originally approved after much discussion with LED panels. Ultimately, those panels were never installed, and so that variation expired. All the other signs did move forward, and they installed them. So the request that was considered before the Planning and Zoning Commission was amendments to those ordinances for material and design changes to the existing signs that were already granted approval of variations, and then B, variations for the new additional signs that they're proposing. The Planning and Zoning Commission conducted their public hearing on April 14th, and I'll stop right there, and I'll let the petitioner review with you what their sign package is, and then when they're done, I can review with you what the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission was.
All right. Thanks again, Mike.
Well, I mean, did the Planning and Zoning Commission approve them all?
Yeah, just to cut to the chase, yeah, it was unanimous approval for the sign package, which involved an amendment to the two ordinances I just described, and then approval of various additional variations.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, okay. How far do you want to go with this then, if there's approvals? You know, from P and Z, other than a presentation?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, here, I got them right here. You want to see them?
Okay.
You know, I mean, it's like, okay, are we going to?
Well,
One important point that I'll make is regarding the LED media panel signs. There was a lot of discussion regarding prohibiting off-site advertising. The only thing that could be displayed on those panels are the stores or products offered for sale on Hawthorn Mall's property. And there's a number of other conditions related to the LED panel signs. All those conditions are part of the recommendation that were previously applied to those, are part of the recommendation from Planning and Zoning. So only advertised stores and products that are offered on-site. Off-site advertising prohibited. And then various other requirements relative to brightness and things like that.
okay. So with that being the focus, of course, we can kind of move through the design portion of the presentation. I'll make sure to hit all the slides, but the package that you have has all of this information. There are 38 new signs that we are considering as part of this package. They're around the entire Hawthorn campus as a part of the Hawthorn 2.0 redevelopment. So I'll also kind of key in on a few areas within Hawthorn Row specifically that have 13 signs as sort of the most immediate focus. But just to move through it, for context, some images which you just saw some of, but the rest of just the Hawthorn Row development. Really just to show you the signage package the concept was developed based on sort of a cohesive nature of the entire mall campus, taking cues from the new construction and a lot of the materials that were presented as part of that ordinance. So a lot of the masonry and some of the natural materials, the stone, some metals, things of that nature, but also with some clean lines, really works well with this, but as well as the other uses and architectural styles around the mall. So very quickly through design principles, seamless integration between the signage and the built environment, the fabric of the environment, an urban aesthetic, as this is a mixed-use development. We wanted a little bit of that grittiness as well as the clean lines that you see there. Modular in the sense that the retail spaces that move in and out can be easily sort of moved in and out within the signs themselves, which we can talk about a little bit. And then site-wide consistency, as I mentioned, the cohesive nature of the entire project. So you'll notice all of these signs really have the same material palette as we go through. Some of the materials as an inspiration, again, the masonry, the sort of natural materials, the metals, things like that. We'll see a lot more of that when we get to the signs. A context plan, of course, everyone is aware of where Hawthorn Mall is, and then, of course, the phase 1 and 2 of Hawthorn Row. So this plan shows all of the existing locations of signs that, as Mike noted in the previous ordinances, were allowed. So there are 20 signs. The next image shows the proposed 38 signs, as I mentioned, most of which fall within a very similar location or the same location as a previous sign. So that's where we're starting to get into the amendments for the materials and the other sign content. There are some that require variation based on size. And of course, within the Hawthorn Road development, new sign locations, zooming in on that area where we have the new development. Of course, all of these sign locations are new. So we're requesting variations where needed for those various signs. So we'll get into what those specific signs are. This table indicates, of course, all of the signs, quantities, and then some notes for the specific variations. So within each of these next few images, as we go through the sign types, there's a key plan on the lower right of the image that indicates, of course, where those signs are. And some brief language, of course, on materials, things like that, but most importantly, the amendments and the variations that we'd be discussing. Sam, do you want to take from here?
Yeah, I'll just quickly take you through the individual sign types and the number and count that you would see at each location. The first two slides are two alternate options for the primary pylon signage. That's a count of 2 total. We have requested and asked for a digital option, but have also shown what a non-digital option may look like. The second sign type, there's a count of 2. These are our secondary pylon signs that occur at the northeast corner of Milwaukee and the entrance off of Town Line. Moving through, this is more of a marquee moment, but this is a piece of signage that occurs out on the southwest corner of the property. This replaces an existing piece of signage. This is monument and identity for us. And then we get into vehicular traffic. The property is in need of an overhaul with the vehicular traffic signage, in our opinion. This is what we have proposed in place of the signage that currently exists. There are 10 of these around the perimeter of the property that will direct the customers and their vehicles to navigate the newly redefined property. And then in addition to that, there is secondary vehicular signage. There are 5 of these total around the property. And then we get into more of the intimate pieces of wayfinding signage that you'll find throughout the new Hawthorn Road development. The piece that we're looking at here is a pedestrian directional and wayfinding sign. There are 6 occurrences of these, all 6 of which happen in the new development area. Next is I'll let Vic speak just a little to this. It's very marquee for the entrance of the property.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this is the main sign, the primary sign, the feature sign that you'll see as you enter that sort of main street and face the new mall entry in the distance. So basically, again, it's a monument sign that identifies the district of Hawthorn Row. It's a concrete panel with some inset letters, fairly self-explanatory. We do have some lighting and things integrated into these steps. So what the steps also double as is a stage area that fronts this lawn space that you can sort of see just behind the sign in the rendering. Also a seating platform there. So sort of a multifunctional piece, and that's basically what that sign is.
Moving on, which brings us to our advertising totem signs. There are 5 of these in total. 3 of which occur at the new area of the property. 2 are reserved for future use in the west end of the existing shopping center. Our intent is, as Vic mentioned, there's 38 signs total in this package today, of which 13 of the 38 are part of the current project. And there are 5 of the advertising totems which have a digital component to them, would be used for potentially outside promotional activities, community events, public service functions, and traditional marketing and advertising. And then lastly is our new logo, and really redefines the new entranceway, the image we're seeing here, defines the new entranceway off of the plaza. The logo and the design you see here is our newly developed H logo. It's something we put a lot of time and effort into. We're very proud of it. And then in addition, reinforced by the actual spelling and full illustration of Hawthorn. This would occur at the entryways. And then, of course, the first set of these bits and pieces of signage to go in would happen at the new retail plaza. Are there any questions on the specifics that we can answer?
So, Mike Atkinson, is there anything that, there's no variances required?
Yeah, there's
Got to be a few, huh?
Yeah, there's a list of variations that's included as Exhibit A in your packet. Most of the signs that are out there are replacing existing signs. So for those, it's just an amendment to an ordinance that already approved the variation. It's for the material and design changes. And then there are a number of variations for the new signs as well. You know, and I can actually count them up for you. There's 8 variations that are new that apply to the sign package that's before you tonight.
Though you're referring to the ones in Exhibit A of the,
That's correct.
okay.
And Exhibit A also outlines the amendments that are also required.
How'd you get 8?
Let's see, for the S1 primary signs, 1 is an amendment, 2 is a new variation. And then kind of that logic so on down the line. Some are amendments, some are new variations. And I counted quick, so feel free to.
I was just counting all the numbers. There's 17 numbers, but only the ones that say section are the actual variance.
Yeah, that's correct. And the ones that say amendment,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 say section.
thank you.
Okay, well. There a motion to approve this?
Motion to direct staff to prepare the necessary ordinance, including all variances and amendments for further consideration at the next, or at a subsequent village board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, we discussed, I guess, so the mall identity signs, you're asking for it to be 86 square feet rather than 62? And, yeah, those are the S11.
Which sign are you talking of, trustee?
I was just looking, that's the mall entry identity. Which, I'm most curious about the LED ones. So it looks like there's the S10s are LEDs, and then I guess it's the S.
Yeah, the LEDs are only on the 2 S1 signs. Those are the primary signs
The big one.
for the mall, one located on Town Line Road, one located on Milwaukee Avenue.
Well, then there are also S10 signs or LEDs.
That's correct.
But those are more like the
Those
brown
are,
side.
those are just on Hawthorn Road.
Right,
That's
those
correct.
are interior to the property off public right-of-way.
So no one will see those from, at least not easily, you won't see it from Milwaukee.
Correct, yes.
You won't see them. The S1 is,
Like 12 with a 13 by 8 LED.
the S1 signs are 384 square feet. The ordinance that originally approved them at 739 square feet. The height was originally approved, trustee Schultz, at 39 feet 11 inches. And the new one is proposed at 32 feet. So smaller and shorter than the originally approved signs.
We said it had to be below 4 stories.
Yeah.
I know this is just as an example, but do you really anticipate just like having a picture of a woman in jeans?
No,
Is this more like events, or what do you foresee in the LED part?
we really feel like it could be offered because it's digital, it offers maximum flexibility. We could use it for seasonal promotions within the mall. We could use it to advertise for on-campus retail partners. We had some pretty robust conversation with the Planning and Zoning Committee about possibly using it for public service in emergency response situations, which I think we're absolutely willing to explore the technology there. And then more so just to have a change of imagery. It can be static and it can be changed out once every couple of months, which, you know, is exactly what it sounds like, or, you know, digital with some sort of renewable aspect to it.
So do we have any requirements as to how, what's the maximal amount of change? Is it going to be flickering every 12 seconds to a new kind of thing? Or have there been discussions about that?
I don't know that there's an ordinance that would address the rotation sequence.
I don't think there's any, in fact,
Right.
actually, you have a sign that was out there and you look at if a vehicle's going 40 miles an hour, it's traveling technically 60 feet per second. So you leave something, change it too much.
Well, we established a policy for our own electronic signs not to have more than X number and a 3-minute rotation or so. There's something that I know we established when we first put those in.
I do know certainly there's an industry standard rule of
Yes.
thumb. I'm not as close to the advertising world as I am the design and construction world,
Right.
but they would advise against anything outside of that range. You don't want
Yeah.
that, nor does the image, you know.
Yeah, it
need
was
to be
like
up
no
there
more than
too
6 a
long.
minute or something, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ordinance says no more than one every 10 seconds. So that's,
Which would be
that's-
6 a
that's
minute.
six. Yeah, and that's a condition that's in,
Yeah.
Okay, and then basically these pylon signs, because they're two-sided, you're getting what, almost 800 square feet
well, the,
face? You know, I mean,
yeah, because you could see it from both directions, that's true. And that would be for the old sign, and then the new signs are 384 square feet.
yeah, well, okay.
Okay.
All right, so there's a motion and a second. Any continuing comments or questions from anyone? If not, roll call.
Trustee Markwart?
Aye.
Trustee Takaoka?
Aye.
Trustee Oppenheim?
Aye.
Trustee Forster?
Aye.
Trustee Schultz?
Aye.
Trustee Cook?
Aye.
President Byrne?
Aye. Motion carries. Hey, you're 1 for 2. This is a much bigger one than the other one.
It's Hall of Fame, yeah.
We appreciate it. We appreciate the partnership of the committee,
Yeah.
the village, and absolutely the
We'll
staff.
figure the other thing out, but, you know, give us something to chew on.
Do we have anything else tonight?
Oh, no, is there a motion to adjourn?
So at this juncture, I would like to take this opportunity for the last time. Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
It's a second. Okay, all in favor indicate, can we do an aye vote? All in favor. Voice vote. All in favor indicate by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No.
No, aren't
Nays?
you going to ask for opposition?
What's that?
You need to ask for opposition.
Is there any opposition?
I vote nay, just so trustee Schultz doesn't get the lead.
There you go.
Oh, God.
Oh, thank you. You know, this is now your job.
Yikes.
Because you're going to move up here, and this seat holds the asshole, the guy that asked